Welcome to the Lopsided Crafter Crochet channel. Let's make the Farmhouse Square. For this, you are going to need a darning needle, a pair of scissors, and a crochet hook. I am using a 4mm crochet hook. You can use any yarn for this square. I am using Scheepjes Softfun. This is an acrylic cotton blend, and it is a DK weight. You will need 4 colors for the square for your design area, and then 1 additional color for the outside. So 5 colors total. You can match it up, mix it up. You can do them all the same color, the whole square the same color. It is completely up to you. So let's get started. If you do use multiple colors like I do, you will have some ends, but I think it just makes it pop more when you have multiple colors. Again, completely your choice. So we are going to start with the middle of the square. This pattern is free on my blog, and there is an ad-free version on Etsy if you prefer not to have ads, or you can just follow this video. We're going to start with a chain 5. Make a slip knot, and then chain 5. If you prefer not to do a starting chain ring, you can use the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are going to join that in the 5th chain from the hook to create a ring. You can go through the V's here on the front, or you can go through the back bump. For this part, it doesn't matter. It's whatever your preference is. We're going to yarn over and pull through to create that ring. We're going to chain 1 just to secure it. Now we are going to do some puff stitches. So for this particular pattern, you will have 7 loops on your hook at the end of the puff. And I just kind of like to hold this tail over here off to the side, so that way I'm kind of working over it at the same time. Yarn over, go through the ring, and pull up a loop. So that is 3. You're going to do that a total of 3 times. That's 2. That's 3. And that will give you 7 loops on your hook. You are going to yarn over and pull through all of those loops. And then we are going to chain 1. So that is your repeat for this round. You're going to do puff, chain 1, a total of 8 times. Since we've done 1, we will do 7 more. There's my 7 loops. Yarn over, pull through, and chain 1. There's my 7 loops. Yarn over, pull through, and chain 1. Sometimes you'll find with certain yarns, it's a little harder to pull through all the loops at the same time. So if you have to pull through one at a time, that is completely fine, just as long as you get all of those loops. Chain 1. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we need 8. And don't worry about this hole. I know it looks kind of big, but once you start adding the other rounds, it kind of closes off a little bit, as you can see. So let's go ahead and finish up this round. If you're interested, I did purchase this yarn on Amazon. This is the Jewel Tones pack. Relatively cheap. I believe it was $16.80, and it came with I think 8 different colors. And they are the smaller skeins. These are the 20 grams and not the 50 grams. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's make sure that looked kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, so one more. Don't forget that last chain 1. And now we are going to slip stitch into the top of the puff. So the top of the puff creates this little chain right here. We are just going to put our hook through there and slip stitch. Now, if you are not changing colors, just leave your yarn. If you are, go ahead and cut your yarn and leave yourself a little bit of a tail for weaving in later. And if you hear any noise in the background, I'm sorry. It's my chickens, and they are at the front door. If you do not like this hole, if you feel that it is too big, you can grab that tail from that chain and you can pull it down a little bit. Just be mindful that it will cinch part of your circle in. See that? So you want to just make sure that all of your stitches are uniform. So that is what round 1 looks like. Now we were going to do round 2. So just grab another color. And we are going to join in any chain 1 space. Pay attention to the pattern because there are in certain rounds that you need to join in the same space that you fastened off on. But in this round, we are going to join in any chain 1 space. Just grab your yarn, pull it through. I like to chain 1 just for security. And that is also included in the pattern, but you don't have to do that. I just like to do that for security. So for round 2, we are going to be doing some more puffs, and this is going to be an increase. So we are going to puff, chain 1, puff, chain 1. in every stitch. And I kind of like to hold these as I go so that I'm working over those as well. So we're going to puff. So remember that's 3 times. Pull through. So we're going to chain 1. And then we're going to puff in that same stitch again. And then chain 1. So that is your repeat. Puff, chain 1, puff, chain 1, all the way around. So you're doing that in those chain 1 spaces, which may be hard to find, but if you kind of pull these puffs apart, you'll be able to see that opening. So you're going to puff, go through all of those stitches, chain 1, and then puff again. And chain 1. Then you move to your next chain, which is right here. And do your repeat. Sometimes your little strands may look looser than others. Just try to get those consistent so that way your puff lays flat. Chain 1. And if you see any of your extra yarn here in the middle, if you just pull that tail a little bit, it will cinch up. So once you have done your complete round, you should have a total of 16 puff stitches. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Don't forget that last chain, and we are going to do like we did for the previous round. We're going to go into the top of that puff stitch and join. And because I am changing colors with each round, I am going to go ahead and cut my yarn and leave myself a tail and fasten off. And that is what you have after round 2. Round 3, we are going to continue with the increases. And I mentioned earlier in the video that there was some points where you would need to join in the same place. And this is one of them. So since we fastened off right here, we are going to join in that chain space right next to it. And this just helps make the square more uniform if you're in the same place. So we're going to pull up that yarn, going to chain 1 for security. And now we are going to puff in that same stitch, chain 1, and puff in that same stitch, We are going to chain 1, and now we are just going to do a single puff in that next stitch. Don't forget your chain 1 at the end. As I said, it is indicated in the pattern, but that is part of closing off that puff. So that is going to be your repeat. Puff, chain 1, puff, chain 1 in one stitch, puff, chain 1 in the next. So in our next space, we're going to do our double puff. Don't forget that chain 1 in between the puffs. And then in the next space, we're doing a single puff. In our chain 1. I'll do that with you one more time. We're doing a double puff. Chain 1. And then our single puff. Now, I do want to show you. Sometimes you can accidentally go through those strands like I just did right there at the end of the puff. You're actually wanting to go through this middle. So if you find that you're doing that, move that over a little bit and you'll be able to find that chain space. Sometimes those strands can just move over where they shouldn't be. And if you do go through one of them, it's no big deal. It's no big deal at all. Just showing you what can happen. And so that is your repeat for all the way around for round 3. The double puff and then the single puff. So continue doing that around, and I will meet you for the next part of the square. Okay, here at the end of the round, make sure that you end with the double puff and the single puff. And that way you know that your increases were done correctly. Don't forget that chain 1 at the end. Once you've completed your round, you're going to join with a slip stitch into the top of that first puff. And that is what round 3 looks like. If you are changing colors, go ahead and cut your yarn. If not, just continue. Now we are going to do round 4. And we want to join in the same chain space again. So that's this one right here, the one right next to the puff that we just fastened off with. So right here, we're going to join that new color. I forgot to mention you will have 24 puffs at the end of round 3. So we're going to go ahead and chain 1 for security. Just something I like to do, something I was taught. Again, not necessary, but it is in the pattern that way. So now we are going to do our double puff in that same stitch. And we're going to chain 1 in between those puffs. Chain 1. And then we are going to do a single puff in the next 2 chains. And that is our repeat. Double puff into single puffs. Don't forget those chains in between. So we have a double puff in this stitch. And then a single puff in the next. And then a single in the next. So that is double, single, single, all separated by chains. Go ahead and do that all the way around, and we will get on to the next round of the square. Okay, so your final repeat to make sure that you've done it correctly all the way around should still be your double, and then 2 singles. And that last one kind of looks hidden, but it is there. Forget that last chain 1 and join with that slip stitch. And that is what you should have at the end of round 4. If you're changing colors, go ahead and do that. Cut your tail and fasten off. So now that we have done our rounds here. Now we are going to change this into an actual square. So we're going to be working on this part to make that circle square. So grab your next color if you are changing colors. And we are going to go to round 5. Now in this particular round, you can join in any space that you want. I tend to like to do them in a double because we're going to actually start with a corner. It doesn't always line up. You know, like some of your corners will end up in a double. It just depends on where you start. See, this one I did not start my corner in a double. I started it in between a single. And I just feel that starting it in a double puff looks better. The single puff is fine. Again, it's your preference. You can join it wherever you want. So just pick a chain space, join that new yarn, and chain 1. We are going to start with a stacked single crochet. I like to use those in place of the double crochet. So you're going to go into that stitch where you joined, and you are going to single crochet 1. Now we are going to go into, let me grab my darning needle here to show you a little better, just in case you're not familiar with the stacked single crochet. So the stacked single crochet creates this V-stitch. This over here is your chain 1. So just ignore this. We're looking at this V right here. You're going to insert your hook in that outside V-stitch. So you have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, pull through 1. You still have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. And that creates a stacked single crochet. So now if you pull that tail out of the way, pull it through a little bit, it has completely disappeared and you have that 1 stitch. I like to use these in place of chains because I feel like it makes a better stitch instead of just having all these chains that line up. I feel like it's more uniform. If you prefer not to use the stacked single crochet, by all means use the chain to begin. So this is going to count as our first double crochet, and now I'm going to work 2 more double crochet into that same stitch, chain 2, and now 3 double crochet back into that same stitch to create our corner. Okay, so now we have our corner, and we are going to double crochet 7 in those chain spaces. So that's 1, 2, 3, and now I'm going to grab that tail and work over that a little bit. That's 4, 5, 6, 7. Our repeat is going to be 7 double crochet and then our corner space. So our corner space is going to be 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. So 7 double crochet, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And now we're going to do our corner. 3 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet. Continue doing that all the way around, and you are going to end with the 7 double crochet on this side, since we already have a corner over here. Once you've done that, you are going to join into the top of that stacked single crochet. So just look for that V that was created and just yarn over and pull through to create your join. And that is what you should have at the end of round 5. You have a total of 52 double crochet all the way around. So I noticed with using this yarn that it wants to kind of curl up a little bit here. So I decided to go ahead and add an extra round for stability. If you're using a different yarn, you may find that you don't need to do this additional round, and that is completely fine. If you're just making the squares for something that you want to make. However, if you are going to be following any of my future patterns, it will be based on the additional round, no matter what yarn I use for that. All that to say, for round 6, we are going to keep the same color. And we are going to single crochet to the corner. So single crochet across to your first corner. In that corner, we're going to do 1 single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. And we're going to do that same thing all the way across. Single crochet to the corner, and single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the corner. So go ahead and do that. You should have 15 single crochet on each side of your square. When you get back to the other side, just join with a slip stitch into that very first single crochet that you did and cut your yarn and fasten off. You may find with some yarns that you have to block the squares to get them to lay flat. For this particular square, I'm not worried about it because I'm going to end up doing probably some type of granny square blanket where I do, I'm not quite decided continuous join as I go or join as, join as you go or continuous join as you go. But your square should be 5 inches by 5 inches. That is the gauge of the squares that I have created. So let's see if my tension changed for this square at all. Let's see, this one was 5 by 5. And this one actually has had some time to relax, and this one hasn't. So let's see here. So this one is off just a titch. But it's perfect on that side. So this one I might have to go ahead and block just to get that same 5 by 5. But I'm going to let it relax here just a little bit just to see with that cotton. There we go. It's 5 by 5. So with that cotton additive into it, I was able just to pull it out a little bit and get it to relax. That's just a little tip for you for the future. You always want your yarn there to relax a little bit so that you get your proper dimensions. But again, that is what you will have at the end of round 5. I hope that you enjoyed this little tutorial of the Farmhouse Square. Again, this is a free pattern on my website. If you prefer an ad-free version of this pattern, it is available on Etsy. All of those links will be below. And of course, you can just use this video if you prefer. Until next time, happy crocheting. Bye.